Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I am Adam Cleary from WhatCulture. Yes, what a nice surprise for you. Coming up for you today, have WWE bought Evolve? I'll tell you, where's Shayna Baszler been on television this week? I'll tell you, has this NXT star just ruined the main event of next week's show? I'll tell you that as well.
Plus, WWE are pissed off with AEW after Taz's promo at Fyter Fest. Who won the Wednesday Night War this week? And could EC3 not be heading to Impact, but be heading to AEW? This is the news. But wait, before we get into this, why aren't you in your lovely flat?
I am in my lovely flat, Adam Wilborn. It's just I'm in the only part of my lovely flat where you can't hear my next door neighbour drilling through a wall at 9 o'clock in the morning. Suck me off, George. Suck me off. Anyway, do you want the first news story?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, right, so good news. You know how, the whole global Baszler thing's finished forever, it's done, it's all over now, it's a memory, it's in the past, nobody's getting it anymore. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, WWE Executive Vice President VP man John Brody, he knows that as well, because he said, yeah, cool, as soon as all the arenas reopen, we are ready to go. Now, this obviously comes hot on the heel of the US finally managing to flatten the curve, vertically, I might add, and his exact quote was, yeah, look, first of all, if people will open arenas safely, we're ready. Our chairman and CEO, Vince McMahon, has said that we're ready to go and entertain and put smiles on people's faces, so we look forward to the next step in the transition.
I mean, Vince has just completely no-sold this the whole way through, hasn't he?
I do like the idea that Vince McMahon has looked at a worldwide global health catastrophe in which the United States is still getting something like 50,000 new cases a day and gone, yeah, not our problem. And then literally set up his entire base of operations in the epicenter of all of this, a state which is currently getting more new cases than all of Europe combined, and gone, yeah, not a problem. And then as soon as the rest of the world's like, well, maybe we should try and get our economies going, and he's going, yeah, we can do that. Let's just get 40,000 people in a confined space. It'll be fine. I also really like the put smiles on faces thing, because you shouldn't be able to see what anybody's doing on their face at the minute, and yet he's determined to have people beaming out, despite the fact they should be behind a surgical mask. It's just... Do you know what? It's getting to the stage now with WWE and all this that you've almost got to start respecting it, because the entire company should have been crippled by all of this. Their stars should have been laid up. Something terrible should have happened, and yet they're just about getting away with it. Just.
Yeah, they are ploughing on through. I think we reported on Tuesday there was claims that they were going to be doing a live show, or they'd sorted out putting on a live show in Cleveland in September as part of a rescheduled old SmackDown show they were going to put on. They were saying, oh yeah, don't worry, that show's going to take place. It's going to be a Monday Night Raw from Cleveland in September. So I suppose now, according to this, September is quite far off. We could see shows within weeks, if not months, depending. It's basically, they're shifting all pressure and all blame, as you mentioned, onto arenas. Once they say it's good to go, fans are going to be back, I guess. Madness, all this.
Yeah.
WWE not best pleased either with All Elite Wrestling. For those of you who watched Fyter Fest on Wednesday night, you'll have seen Taz cut that promo about Jon Moxley, basically explaining why they are shifting the AEW World Championship match, not to night 2 of Fyter Fest, but to Fight for the Fallen on July 15th. He cut this big promo basically referencing Jon Moxley, alluding to Renee Young and her issues with the ongoing global Baszler, the fact that Moxley's been tested loads. He said, if you decide to get your ass here to work next week, you'd get tested again here in AEW because, John, as you know, we don't run a sloppy shop. Yeah, WWE taking umbrage with the word sloppy shop.
That sounds gross.
They are not best pleased, according to Wrestling Observer Radio people in WWE, with that line. Maybe it's because the way Taz delivered it with his, New York, we don't run a sloppy shop. Huh?
I just, basically what you're telling me here is the maimed lion tamer gets annoyed at the lion taming community saying he's been maimed by a lion. This is just... I've run an incredibly sloppy shop. I don't want to incur the wrath of the company here, but you're hardly going to go and say that their approach to this has been watertight, are you?
No, exactly. I joked about them, with their temperature test, basically putting their hand on someone's head and going, Yeah, you'll probably be all right. And even if you are right, it's Florida, so... And that's probably what as close as what they've been doing until they've been sort of strong-armed into it. And now they're finally like, look, everyone, masks. We've got people wearing masks in the crowd and social distancing. And we're like, yeah, you probably should have been doing that for the last few months, mate.
How dare you say we have not taken this very seriously? Incidentally, we'll tell you all about it when you come to our 40,000-seater live show in a couple of weeks. Oh, it's beyond the pale, all this, isn't it, at this stage?
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Anyway, yeah, speaking of people who WWE aren't happy with, and speaking of me being incredibly not happy with Adam Wilborn, do you know how they've, got 2 weeks of the Great American Bash, and it's really exciting, but it's also pre-taped, and it's just, it kind of needs to be sat on, because obviously NXT, they've put together this show to kind of counter-program AEW's Fyter Fest, and going off the ratings this week, no spoilers, but it might have been quite a good idea. Anyway, the main event next week will be Adam Cole versus Keith Lee in a winner-takes-all match for the NXT Championship and the NXT North American Championship. It's arguably, if it gets a proper finish, the biggest match in televised NXT history. And they did an amazing Prime Target segment where they really built up this idea that Keith Lee could be the man to do it, but also at the same time that Adam Cole could be the man to do it as well. And then in to share, the Bithen Boys, as they're known on NXT Ups and Downs, have just tweeted a picture of the supposed result. Now I, obviously knowing that you probably don't want to know what that result is, deliberately didn't look at this so I could just tell you about the story and they could go through and but we're not going to be idiots and ruin it for you as well, just that they did do this. If you wanted to go check it out, you could. And then Wilbur went, oh, if you've not seen it, don't worry, it's just a picture of holding all the belts up. And I was like, oh, thanks for that, mate.
I do apologise. I've realised, though, the reason why you're unhappy with me is not because I've spoiled the result for you, as much as that is a terrible form on my part. It's the fact we got a pasty bet that this is going to go to a finish, and if that's right,
yeah,
then you owe me a sausage roll.
I mean, also, anyway, the reason I'm just annoyed with everything at the minute is because I was woken up at 7:40 by a man with a hammer, so there is also that to consider. You said you've got some theories about this, though, that this might not be all that it seems.
Yes, I'll get into that. I've got a Twitter question that sort of alludes to it in due course, because, I don't know, even when we used to put on shows, everyone was just going around going, just remember, this is being taped, and this is going to go out in like a month or whatever when we were doing Defiant.
Guilty of that, by the way. I posted a picture of Tegan Knox being the first ever women's champion 3 weeks before the episode aired.
So, yeah, I'll get to that, though, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure about all this. But you mentioned NXT and AEW in this ratings war.
I did.
The revelation last night that NXT defeated AEW in the Wednesday Night War, drawing 792,000 viewers to AEW's 748,000. Obviously, that's a big increase for AEW, slight increase for NXT as well. Now, of course, those defending AEW will say that they still won the 18-49 demo. They came in at number 6 on that, whilst NXT ranked number 13. Those defending that include Chris Jericho, who tweeted about it last night. I've got to say, I
absolutely loved Chris Jericho's, well, that's the real quiz pattern on social media last night.
But, I mean, I suppose the big takeaway here is an increase regardless. Over 1.5 million people watching wrestling on Wednesday nights, which is the best story to come off the back of this.
Yeah, we've said this literally since the beginning of this Wednesday Night War, that, it absolutely doesn't matter who's watching what show. The volume of people choosing to watch wrestling on a Wednesday night, in spite of every other option they had, and at a time when, the consensus is that WWE creatively is not what it used to be. The fact that there are 2 other brands away from their main roster, yes, they do own one of them, that are producing really good, really interesting Wednesday night wrestling with incredible talent and incredible matches is a good thing. And it is a shame that they go head to head, but that's, we can't change that. I would love it if one of them was on a Thursday night, for example. It would give you an incredible week of pro wrestling with a lovely Tuesday night off. I suppose Dark's on then, but anyway, it's just good. It's just really good that 1.5 million people are now tuning in for all this. And Michael Hamflett's dream of Wednesdays outdrawing Mondays edges a step closer. What's it now? 200,000 the gap?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
In our lifetime, Adam Wilborn, in our lifetime.
It's quite a prediction, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but do you know what might help some of the ratings over on, say WWE's other show, Monday Night Raw?
Go on.
Perhaps if they included, let's see, just off the top of my head, if they just had someone on their roster at their disposal who was like a legitimate MMA fighter who'd previously really dominated on another brand and sort of held up that division for ages, was capable of putting on like striking, gruesome matches, a real foil to the kind of thing they've got on at the minute, a genuine draw in their own right. If they had somebody like that on the brand who was neither injured, nor suspended, nor currently laid up with an ongoing global health crisis. If only they had somebody like that, like say, Shayna Baszler. Oh, hang on, sorry, wow, a complete coincidence. I've just remembered they actually do have Shayna Baszler, and she is not injured, and she is not suspended, and she is not currently laid up by a global health catastrophe. Creative just have nothing for her.
How do you have nothing for Shayna Baszler, right? Disregarding the fact it's bloody Shayna Baszler, as you point out there, how do you have nothing for the woman who just destroyed everyone in the Elimination Chamber? Like, the hottest prospect coming off the back of that pay-per-view was Shayna Baszler, and now they're just like, I don't know, should have her bite someone on the back of the neck again?
Go on.
I read a story yesterday. I think Becky Lynch was doing an interview and basically said, "Oh yeah, no, I was more than ready to drop the title to her at WrestleMania, but they decided, yeah, let's not do that instead." Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
This is all according to Fightful Select. Of course, Adam Wilborn, you'll know this. She hasn't been seen on television since she wrestled. Any guesses?
Sarah Logan. Was it when she broke Sarah Logan's arm?
No, it was Natalya in the middle of May. She's not been seen since then for no other reason than they have nothing for her, which is, of course, very similar to the stories that emerged about Bianca Belair not very long ago. Two of the most talented women in the entire company, and creative have nothing for them. Again, I'm not a booker. I don't profess to be better than these very talented men and women who have years of experience writing bad soap operas. I would never pretend I could do their job, but why not? Just have Shayna Baszler wrestle Bianca Belair.
Just a thought. Just to keep them busy.
Just a thought. It's just a thought.
By the way, if they bring back Bianca Belair, right, after all this, after how talented she is, again, when you mentioned Shayna Baszler, if they bring her back to be a bit part in the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza, because Zelina Vega's in their corner, oh my God, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to be so pissed off.
Yeah, what you can do about it?
I'm going to tweet. That's what I'm going to do. Right, let's update you on the situation regarding EC3. Everyone sort of assumed he's heading back to Impact Wrestling, what, the Slammiversary being, 2 weeks away? Everyone assumed that was going to be the case. I think it's sufficient time after he was released by WWE that he could be there and do stuff for them. But EC3, the little scamp, is posting teasers on his Facebook page. Yes, that's still a thing. Teasing, not signing with Impact Wrestling, but signing with AEW. He posted this excellent video last night, I do believe, about 2 minutes long, and it is littered with AEW references. Honestly, I've just written down the first references in the first 30 seconds, because there's too long to go into them all. He references The American Nightmare. He references SoCal Uncensored. He said, "Out there's a jungle, boy." He talks about FTR. He talks about Hangman. He talks about Dark Order. He says that there's old people and young bucks. It is littered with AEW references.
Also, Hamlet gets a mention as well. That's incredible.
Do you want to? Where do you want to see EC3 end up?
Off social media, to be quite honest with you. To be honest, this smacks of just, I'm going to have a bit of fun before I head back to TNA, because wrestling YouTube channels will pick this up and have a lot of fun with it themselves. EC3, as we saw when he initially left WWE, knows precisely how the game works, knows precisely how the industry works. And I would be astonished if he didn't end up in TNA, because he's just TNA through and through. That man, he had his best years there. He's clearly going back. This is purely just a bit of merrymaking, I think, on his part, and I'd be stunned if it was anything else.
Who knows? I mean, there was obviously there's assumptions that Gallows and Anderson are returning to Impact Wrestling. And there was a photo of them in the Young Bucks the other day. So it's all going on, basically. But what a week we've got in 2 weeks. There's Fight for the Fallen on Wednesday, Slammiversary on Saturday, and then Extreme Rules on Sunday. What a treat we have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paid to cover NXT, so I won't be seeing any of that, unfortunately. But from EC3 to EVO, because Evolve Wrestling, according to reports in the Pro Wrestling Observer, has finally been fully acquired by WWE. Now, if you are in tune with your local wrestling promotion, you will know that the current ongoing Global Bastard makes things incredibly difficult, as well as, let's just say, some revelations backstage in the world of pro wrestling that makes the entire premise of it not even worth caring about. And a number of promotions, as a result of both these factors, have started to draw in their heads. Some have even collapsed entirely. And apparently, the cancellation of WrestleMania 36 weekend was financially catastrophic for Evolve in a way that the current ongoing situation means they've been unable to remedy, and they have fully sold up to WWE. Their merchandising, their licensing, all of that, their back catalogue, everything, but not at this stage the contract of their pro wrestlers, although obviously it is speculated that a numerous number of people will be making the transition over to WWE at some point. So this is sad. This is very sad, because Evolve, which were founded in 2010, have been one of the best indies going for a very long time, and not to cast shade on any other promotions here, one of the few ones that got into bed with WWE and didn't notice their overall quality nosedive as a result of all their talent being taken to drastically. Now, Wilborn, you're a big Evolve fan because, well, you're just one of the most well-evolving people I've ever met.
Yeah, I think it's...
Why are you laughing?
Well, I just think this was, partially inevitable. I think, when WWE gets into bed with anyone, you get concerned for the promotion. But like you say, they put on some shows. They didn't just get swallowed up immediately. But once the ongoing Global Bastard did what it did, and like you mentioned, WrestleMania weekend there, it just seemed like the juggernaut, the powerhouse, was always going to try and take over everything. Interesting to see what happens with the contracted wrestlers with Evolve, of course, as you mentioned. We see many stars from there obviously go on to do stuff in WWE, although your worry would be that they just sort of get amalgamated and then there's too many wrestlers. But we'll wait and see. We'll hope for the best because, like you say, a sensational promotion.
Whoa. Too many wrestlers? Are you implying that WWE ends up saturating their roster to a point where, say, I don't know, critically acclaimed talents like Shayna, Baszler and Bianca Belair can't find anything from creative? What nonsense is this? Is this what Andy allows to pass for insight on the news?
I'm saying nothing. Let's move on to Twitter questions instead. At WhatCulture WWE, of course.
These are always
if you want to get in touch with us. First question comes from Courtney Sampson. Let's deal with this issues around the NXT spoilers. Almost said it again. Courtney says, any possibility you think the picture of, and then whoever's editing this, whoever's our editor, blur out the name when you show this. Otherwise, I'm going to get comments. The picture of blank, spoilers, was leaked on purpose for ratings, thoughts, or, and I'm going to add a caveat to this, we all know that when soaps like find out who shot Phil Mitchell or whatever, God, I'm showing my age there, they shoot two alternate endings. Do you think that could be the case as well?
Now, I will say, I do quite like the theory that they are aware that there is historical precedent for these things getting leaked and that leading to a bump in audience. Of course, the most famous example being, Mankind's won the WWF Championship. Well, that'll put bums on seats, or whatever the quote was, leading to one of Raw's biggest ever draws over WCW during the Monday Night War. However, I will say, with all due respect to Indus Share, if you are going to leak that, you don't leak it through Indus Share. Like, their manager, the most notable member of that group, Malcolm Bivens, only has fractionally more Twitter followers than me. They would have been, if this is how they wanted to leak it, it would have been more useful to whisper it to a dead dog. In my opinion.
What do you think of my conspiracy?
Don't get me wrong, I think if they're filming this well in advance, I do think there is every possibility they will have recorded both endings. Although, again, not to give away too much of what's in the thing, but there is some, how do I put this, decorative accoutrement to the image, which I would say you wouldn't want to have to do twice. Speaking as a man who, if you saw on Twitter the other week, dropped a whole thing of Cookie Crisp all over his kitchen floor, that took me 15 minutes to pick all that up. I wouldn't want to have to clear an entire arena.
But then again, that was your problem. Whoever does the thing in NXT, clearly not their problem, is it? It's going to be like,
I just pushed the button, all the stuff happens.
Right, second question today comes from Glenn with 1E on Twitter.
Mr. and Mrs. 1E. So Glenn with...
How about future legend killer Randy Orton? Him arriving at NXT to save the roster from possibly failing on the main roster, just like countless people before them, from injuries, months away from their family, saving them from being legends.
I really like the idea of WWE doing an angle where they literally expose how bad they are at booking NXT talent on the main roster. I'm going to stop you graduating, son, so you can't end up in a mid-card feud with somebody who's been... so you don't end up working the big show in 6 months. I'm doing this to save you, bro.
I'm
like
the good guy in all this. Yeah.
Imagine if he gets involved in the women's division. Punts Io Shirai in the head so she doesn't end up on Raw in 6 months, where creative have nothing for her.
Yeah. Final question today comes from Rahul V. Krishnan on Twitter, who says, if you guys could fantasy book a feud between 2 different characters played by the same wrestler, which wrestler and characters will you pick? For me, it will be the leader of the S Movement versus the planet's champion.
Have you ever seen the movie Ichi the Killer?
Yes.
Ichi the Killer, if you've not seen it at home, poses the philosophical question of what would be to happen if the ultimate sadist and the ultimate masochist were to meet. Like, where would you draw the line on that? Who would come out on top in the end? So basically, I'd like to see Doodler versus Cactus Jack.
Why did my brain go to the exact same place as you?
The weird thing is, Mankind versus Cactus Jack is far more ultimate sadist versus ultimate masochist, but Dude Love is more banter. And, well, welcome to WhatCulture, so...
Yeah, my brain went, you could have the Doctor of Thugonomics versus sort of, Super Cena, or you could have the American Badass versus Taker.
No.
But yeah, 100%.
Actually, I'll tell you who I'd like to see. I'd like to see desperately trying to claw his way up the company 20-odd-year-old Triple H versus, shovel-wielding, you people don't get to win championships Triple H.
At WrestleMania, with the shovel-wielding one getting a proper entrance and the other guy just waiting in the ring for
I'd
him.
like to see that, please.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally. And this image from Randy Orton's Instagram.
What the bloody hell?
Which calls...
Does he know her?
I mean, that is his wife, thankfully.
Thank God.
Shout out to our editor, Ben Roy Turner, who, of course, brought this to our attention this morning.
Fall off his bedroom wall, did it?
But the thing, it's quite the image from when Randy Orton was on holiday in Jamaica. I didn't take any photos.
I was going to say,
you
were on holiday in Jamaica. Where's your photo?
No, there's none of that from my honeymoon, unfortunately. But what I like about this is it's quite the image, but it's also got a genuinely lovely message about his family, and in particular his wife, and how much he adores them. And then it's with this image. So, yep, there you go. There you have it. Take that with you today.
I've got nothing for that. I've got absolutely nothing for that.
Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and Michael Sidgwick previewing SmackDown a little bit later on today. And, of course, WrestleCulture with a #bloody good quiz to come. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Adam Cleary at
Adam Cleary, CLERY. And I would just like to reassure everybody who's been watching these videos for the last 3 months, I'm getting my hair cut next week.
Yay! You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Adam Cleary. Good luck with those neighbours, mate. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Goodbye.